welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're taking a closer look at something really interesting. Statements made by General John Kelly.
Right, when he was Secretary of Homeland Security under Trump, specifically about the border wall and, well, immigration policy more broadly.
Exactly, and our source material for this is, it's an audio report, actually. It pulls together info from different places: Conservative Tribune, New York Magazine, Fox News. Quite a mix.
A real range of outlets.
And our mission, for you listening, is to really unpack the details. Look at the subtle differences in how things were reported.
Yeah, pull out the key bits and see how different sources presented, well, basically the same core information, but maybe with a different spin or emphasis.
It's all about getting sharper at reading between the lines of the news we consume every day.
Definitely. It's fascinating how just a few words can change the whole picture.
So let's set the scene. General Kelly, new in his role as Homeland Security Secretary. He goes before the House Homeland Security Committee for the first time.
Right. And the source we're using, it frames this appearance as bringing good news at the time.
Okay, good news.
Yeah. And according to the Conservative Tribune's take, Kelly's main message, sort of the broad theme, was that the administration was serious. Very serious.
About border security.
About border security on two fronts, really. They reported he stressed tackling both illegal immigration from Mexico and also what he termed harmful immigration from the Middle East.
Okay, so setting a wide scope there.
Exactly. It kind of laid the groundwork for their whole approach, framing the wall discussion within these bigger security concerns, hitting what they saw as the main vulnerabilities.
All right, so let's unpack that, because this is where the details get really interesting, I think. Kelly makes this key statement to the committee about the border wall timeline. And New York Magazine reported his exact words were, "An effective barrier wall will be well underway within 2 years."
Okay.
Now that phrase, well underway, that feels important, doesn't it? It's not quite finished.
Right. It's definitely not finished. And here's where it gets, like you said, really interesting, because our source immediately contrasts that with the Fox News report. Fox News apparently quoted Kelly saying something, well, quite different. They said he stated the border wall would be completed within 2 years.
Completed, not well underway.
Completed, a direct contrast. Think about what that means for a second.
Wow, okay. That's not a small difference, is it?
Yeah.
Well underway suggests, maybe diggers are digging, foundations are poured, maybe sections are up. Progress.
Significant progress, even. Lots of work started.
Yeah.
But it absolutely leaves the door open for more work needed after 2 years. It's sort of open-ended.
Yeah, it implies momentum, right? A process?
But completed.
Completed is a finish line. It means done, finished, end to end, sealed up, fully operational, no ambiguity.
That's a world of difference in terms of public expectation.
A huge difference. If people hear completed, they expect a finished wall, period.
And if they hear well underway, but were maybe told completed by one source, exactly, then even if substantial work is done, if it meets the well underway mark, there's this massive potential for disappointment. Or, for critics to say promises weren't kept.
It creates a real political vulnerability, doesn't it? An administration could be accused of failing even if they met the goal they actually maybe stated originally.
Absolutely. It sets up this benchmark that's easy for opponents to point to. And it really shows you how media reporting, just a single word choice, whether it was intentional or just a mistake, can totally shape the public narrative and trust around these huge government projects.
It really underlines why we need to look so closely at the precise language used, especially with official statements being filtered through news reports.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, so moving on from the timeline, let's talk about the how the wall would actually be built. Specifically, Kelly's comments on deciding where to put it.
Right, because the border isn't just one long flat line, is it?
Not at all.
And Kelly seemed to emphasize a very practical, ground-up approach here. He said they'd rely heavily on the experts on the ground, the Customs and Border Protection Agents, CBP.
Okay.
The quote was apparently, "They can tell you exactly where they want a wall at barrier built right now. We're going to rely on them for their recommendations."
So talking to the people who are literally out there.
Exactly. Those right there in the dirt, as the source described it. It acknowledges the deserts, the rivers, the mountains, the cities, all the different terrains.
For a one-size-fits-all fence just wouldn't work.
Precisely. It suggests they wanted specific tactical advice from the people facing the day-to-day realities to figure out where a barrier would actually be most effective.
That sounds Oh, pretty logical, actually.
Right.
Pragmatic.
It does. It implies using intelligence from the field to decide where barriers make the most sense, rather than just, drawing a line on a map from Washington.
This is less of a sweeping mandate and more targeted construction based on need.
That's what it suggests, yeah.
Yeah.
Building where it's strategically valuable, according to the agents on the front lines, it points towards a more flexible, nuanced plan than maybe the grand rhetoric sometimes implied.
Interesting. Okay, so we have the timeline debate, the operational approach.
Yeah.
What about the overall why? What were the stated goals or justifications for the wall, according to the source material we have?
Well, the source lays out a few key purposes. The big one, stated first, was to protect the American people. Pretty standard security framing.
Okay.
Then the narrator of the report used some very strong language, stating the wall was meant to keep the illegal trash from flooding into this nation.
Whoa. Okay, illegal trash. That's intense language.
It is, and it's really crucial. We flagged this. That specific phrase, illegal trash, is attributed by our source to the narrator of the original report, not presented as a direct quote from General Kelly or the administration itself.
That's a critical distinction. So that's the framing or the commentary around the policy, not necessarily the official language.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's a powerful example of how the telling of the story, the narration, can inject a really strong tone or bias, completely separate from the official statements being reported.
Yeah, that kind of language definitely shapes how you perceive the issue and the people involved, doesn't it? It shows how raw the discourse can become.
Absolutely. It moves way beyond just reporting facts into something much more emotionally charged.
Okay, so apart from that very loaded phrase from the narrator, what other purposes were mentioned?
The narrator also mentioned the goal was to keep the drug cartels out of this country. That's another major security point.
Right, drug security.
And then there was a broader justification linked to the immigration system itself. The idea was to ensure people enter the country legitimately, legally, and importantly, not skipping in line, not cutting in line for all the people who are waiting to become American citizens.
Okay, so maintaining order and fairness in the legal immigration process was another angle presented.
Correct. So you have this mix. National security, stopping drugs, public safety, and upholding the legal immigration framework.
And woven into that, at least in the narration from the source, some really potent almost dehumanizing language.
Undeniably strong language. And that itself is a key takeaway, isn't it? Just how heated the rhetoric was, or at least how it was presented in this report.
Yeah. It reminds you that understanding how information is framed, the word choices, the emphasis is just as important as the information itself.
Absolutely. It helps you separate the actual policy details from the narrative shell that gets built around them. You need to see both to be truly informed.
So let's just quickly recap then. We looked at General Kelly's early statements as Homeland Security Secretary about the border wall.
Mm-hmm.
We zeroed in on that really crucial difference in reporting. Was it well underway or completed in 2 years? And what a huge difference that makes.
A massive difference in expectation and political reality.
Then we touched on the plan to rely on CBP agents, the folks on the ground, for deciding where to build.
The pragmatic operational side.
And finally, we covered the various stated goals, security, drugs, legal process, and, importantly, the really strong language used by the narrator in the source material to frame those goals.
Right, which all leads to, I think, a really important point for you, the listener, to consider.
Yeah.
Well, it raises this question: how do precisely worded statements from officials, like Kelly's, get translated or even transformed as they pass through different media filters? And what impact do those subtle shifts that change from well underway to completed, for instance, have on how we all understand these really complex, really charged issues like border security and immigration?
It's a constant challenge, isn't it? Being aware of those filters and the power of specific words.
It really is. It requires active listening and critical thinking.
Definitely something we try to practice here on the Deep Dive. And hopefully something you can take into your own information consumption next time you hear a report, especially on a hot topic.
Ask yourself those questions.
Yeah. Is that a direct quote? What words are they really using? How else could it have been phrased? What's the impact of this particular phrasing?
It's about moving from just hearing the news to actually understanding it, warts and all.
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive today.
Always a pleasure.